Hey everybody, John here with Cruiser Customizing. Today we're back in the shop again and we've got a 2016 Indian Chieftain. We're going to deck this thing out with pretty much the entire Kuryakn catalog. They sent us a ton of boxes, so let's quit talking and get started putting some shiny bits on this beast. The first thing we're going to install out of our shipment of Kuryakn goodies is this Phase 7 headlight. This is a 7-inch round LED headlight that's going to take the place of the factory unit. The dome for the headlight on the high and low beam are also designed differently, so it's going to refract the light in the areas you need it most for those specific beams. It's also a much brighter and wider light than the original is. This thing's heavy duty. It's built well, it's plug and play, and it's going to be super easy to install. So before we can put that one in place, we're going to have to remove the original, and it's pretty easy. You're just going to need some simple hand tools. We've got a couple screws here at the top, and then this entire chrome panel is going to pop off. You actually have some rubber grommets that are holding some posts in right about the halfway portion here. So as you pull that off, make sure you don't pry too hard and give some support right about the top of the headlight range to make sure that you're pulling against those grommet posts so you're not going to break that panel taking it off. Underneath that, you're going to see 4 Phillips head screws. You unscrew those and that factory headlight comes out. It's got a plug on the very back side of it. You unplug that, and then we're going to take this plug and play extension that comes on the new unit. It's going to plug right into the factory harness. We'll put this one back in place, tighten everything back up, and we're good to go. Couple things to note here at the top of the headlight from Kuryakn, it's going to say top. Make sure you're paying attention to that whenever you're setting your orientation and installing the new headlight. Also, we've got some corrosion inhibiting grease that comes in the kit from Kuryakn. Make sure some of that makes its way onto those electrical connections before you plug everything back in to make sure this is going to have a nice long service life. So it's a really simple install. Let's go ahead and get it done. Next up in our box of goodies from Kuryakn are some chrome appliques. We have chrome to just bling out the entire front of our 2016 Chieftain. We've got appliques up for the windshield. We've got it around the turn signals, the driving lights. We've got some for the dash. This thing is going to be casting more sunshine than a disco ball. All of this stuff is held in place by some 3M tape that's on the back of here. I want to go over just a couple highlights that they have in the directions. First, clean everything up. You don't want to apply these to a dirty bike because that tape's not going to stick and they'll fall off. You don't want chrome falling off while you're headed down the road, so get everything clean. After you get it clean, before you stick it into place, we've got some alcohol wipes. That's going to get every single thing off of that paint before we apply these. That comes with them, so make sure you use those before you apply each one. Also, each applique is going to have 3M tape on the back of it that needs to be activated. To activate this stuff, you rub on it. I didn't believe it until I saw it in the directions twice. I thought somebody was joking on one of the appliques, but it actually shows up in each one. I don't know if they have little wizards in here or a genie in a bottle. You got to rub it to wake everything up, but somehow that activates the glue that's in these and it helps it bond a whole lot better. So before you pull that backing strip off of there, make sure you rub around on this stuff to activate that glue. Then we're almost ready to install these. To install them and make sure your alignment is correct, we're actually going to use some masking tape. We put some marks on there. We measure everything out before we ever pull that backing tape off. That's going to make sure whenever we go to push these into place, we've got marks that we can line everything up perfectly. If you don't do that, you only get one chance. They don't send you 4 or 5 strips of 3M tape. You got one shot at these, and there's nothing better than a nice shiny piece of chrome on your bike. There's nothing worse than a crooked shiny piece of chrome on your bike. People like looking at that stuff, and you don't want somebody seeing a horrible install job, so make sure you take the time to line everything up perfectly before you get started. Also, on our bezels here, most of the stuff, it's going to be easy to tell whether it's left or right. On the bezels, there's actually just a little bitty notch cut out in the back. Whenever we go to put these in place, that notch is actually going to go towards the top. So this specific one that I'm holding is actually going to be for the right side. We'll rotate it around and it'll drop into place there. But make sure that notch is facing towards the top of the fairing. So we're going to get everything cleaned up, lined up, mocked up, and ready to install. So let's go ahead and get started. We've already installed some chrome that everybody else can see. Now we're going to install some chrome that you can see and some chrome that's going to help you see. We're going to be replacing out these speaker grills. The current ones, the OEM, they're just a black plastic. They don't look too fancy, so Kuryakyn's got these sweet mesh and chrome grills. Those just pop into place. Whenever I take off the mirrors, it's going to make those a lot easier to access, so we're just going to do both of these at the same time. We're also going to be replacing these stock mirrors with these awesome teardrop mirrors from Kuryakyn. These things, the chrome on them is absolutely awesome. They'll actually fit just about any bike out there if you get the right adapter. If you have any questions about what adapter is going to fit your bike, you can actually just call our staff. They're happy to help. They can get you the right Kuryakyn adapter no matter what type of bike you have. So let's go ahead and get this party started. The last thing we're going to install from our box of Kuryakyn goodies for today's video will be these spear style grips. These are a nice chrome finish. They've got the end cap that can be removed to add accessories like the ISO grips. It's got a nice rubberized feel on the outside, and this will actually give us a theme that we can carry through the entire bike. This thing has floorboards that match it, passenger and driver. It's got controls that match it, so you can really give your bike a nice cool spear theme all the way throughout. And these grips are top quality, just like everything else from Kuryakyn. This bike happens to have that fly-by-wire system, so it's all electronically controlled, no throttle cables running from this housing down. So I was a bit apprehensive before we got started, but the install on these is actually much easier. Once you get the housing apart, you just slide the grip out, slide the new one back in. You don't have to fumble with getting those throttle cables hooked back up, and it goes relatively smooth. One thing to note here on the grips themselves is, first, this grip on the throttle side is only going to have one position because there's a pin inside of this housing that sets the orientation. So make sure you install your throttle side first, because if you put the clutch side on first, the orientation might not be rotated correctly, and you don't want anything to be unsymmetrical, throwing off the looks of your bike. Also, when we go to take this apart, we're going to take the brake housing out. We'll set it down to the side, wrap it up, make sure none of the chrome gets scratched up. We're just going to have 4 screws on the back of this cover here. We'll split that apart, put the new grip on, throw it all back together. Then when we move to the passenger side, the original grip on this one is actually held in place by a screw. We're going to unscrew that screw. We will not be reusing it, so just leave it with the grip there. There's one of our buddies riding by. Just leave that that screw with that original grip, we can set that off to the side because the new grip is not going to require a screw. We'll actually just put some of the supplied grip glue on the grip itself when we slide it in, make sure it's in correct orientation with the throttle side on the bike as well. Also, before we get started with anything, since we are going to be taking apart this electronic housing, wires could be exposed, you don't want anything to short out, we did go ahead and remove the main fuse on the bike. That way we don't have to worry about anything shorting out. That's going to disconnect the electric from coming up to this housing, so you don't have to worry about shorting anything out. All of this stuff is super easy to do. It's only going to take a couple tools to knock this one out and just a few minutes of labor, so we're going to go ahead and get started. That's going to wrap us up for today, everybody. Let's do a quick recap on what we've done to our 2016 Indian Chieftain in our first Kuryakn video. We've got an LED headlight up front so you can see better. To make sure you look better as you pass by, we've got chrome all over this thing and more to come. We've also got that Kuryakn Teardrop Mirrors so you can watch those jealous grins as you fly by. And to give you a little more comfort and a bit more style to match up with the theme that we're going on this bike, we've got the Kuryakn Spear grips. If you have questions on any of these products, let me know in the comments section below. So you don't miss out on the next video coming up in our Kuryakn series, please hit that subscribe button down in the corner. If you want to check out all these awesome accessories on our website, we've got an info button in the top right hand corner. Click on it, it's going to take you to our site and you can order any of this stuff you want to put on your Indian. Until next time, everybody, thank you for watching. My name's John. Ride safe.